Hello students, in today's class we will derive the relation between the bending moment and shear force. We have already observed in our previous classes while drawing the bending moment and shear force diagram that the bending moment tends to be maximum at the point where the shear force is 0. Let's derive the exact relation between these two. Now in this figure what you see here is a beam. It may have any sort of boundary condition, a simply supported or a cantilever type. It is subjected to uniformly distributed load W per unit length over the entire length of the beam. Let's consider a small elemental length of the beam delta x, which is having edge AB and CD on left and right hand side. Now this as we know that the bending moment varies along the length of the beam as well as the shear force also continuously varies. So the value of the shear force at the left edge, or that means AB, is given by F, while on the right hand side edge of this element the shear force value is changing from F to F plus delta F. Similarly, the bending moment which is acting on the left hand side is given as M, acting in a anticlockwise fashion, while on the right hand side edge the value may be M plus delta M in the clockwise sense. Now because this element ABCD is in equilibrium, so therefore the sum of all the vertical forces on it should be 0. We start from the left hand side edge and we see that there is a shear force of value F acting in the downward direction. The next force that is coming is applied impressed force W, and as it is acting over the length delta x, so the net force acted because of it will be W into delta x. So there will be F and W into delta x, they both acting in the downward direction. Now their net sum should be equal to the the force that are there in the vertical direction for the equilibrium. So the force that is acting in the vertical direction upward is F plus delta F, so that it should be equal to F plus delta F. Now using this equation, as F and F will get cancelled out, we will get delta F by delta x equal to W, and if we take the limit delta x tends to 0, this brings us to a complete differential dF by dx equal to small w. These equations tell us that rate of change of shear force is equal to the intensity of loading. Now because the segment ABCD is in equilibrium, so sum of all the moments taking about any particular edge, let's say about AB, should be equal to 0. So we start taking the moment about the edge AB. First force is shear force F, as it is acting on the edge AB itself, the moment because of it will be 0. Next is the induced moment M, which is acting in the anti-clockwise fashion, so we put M here in this equation. Then there is another force which is acting in the anti-clockwise fashion is the moment which is acting in the anti-clockwise fashion is because of the shear force F plus delta F, which is acting at a distance delta x. So the moment because of this will be F plus delta F dot delta x, and this is also acting in the anti-clockwise fashion. Now because of the impressed force W per unit length, the moment will be induced in the opposite direction, it will be in the clockwise fashion, so its magnitude will be the force W del dot delta x multiplied by the distance over which it is acting. And as we know, for the uniformly distributed load, for the purpose of taking the moment, we can assume it to be acting exactly at the middle of that, so it will be acting at a distance of delta x by 2. So W dot delta x multiplied by delta x by 2 will be the moment caused because of the impressed force, and it will be acting in the clockwise fashion, so there will be a negative sign preceding it. Next is the bending moment M plus delta M, which is acting in a clockwise fashion, so again it will appear with a negative sign here. Now from this equation, if we neglect the small quantities such as multiplication of delta F with the delta x and delta x square and so on, so and we cut out this M with this M, finally what will be left will be F dot delta x minus delta M should be equal to 0, and if we take the limit delta x tends to 0, it will give us the complete differential or full differential dm by dx equal to F, and these equations tell us that the rate of change of bending moment is equal to the shear force acting on the beam. So we have got these two relations here. Now let's do a little bit more mathematical manipulation, and from equation 1, which says that df by dx is equal to w, if we integrate that equation 1 on both sides, it will give us that f is equal to integration of 0 to x w delta x. What it tells us, that in order to calculate the shear force value, if you take the applied moment value up to that point, it will give you the shear force. That is what we have been doing so far in our previous numericals. And from equation 2, which is dm by dx is equal to f, if we integrate on the both side, it will give us m is equal to 0 to x integrated f dot dx, which can also be expressed using equation 3 as here. So this equation 4, which we have obtained, tell us that if you want to calculate the value of bending moment, you need to calculate the area under the shear force diagram up to that particular point x. So if you look at the previous numericals which we have done, and you see the shear force diagram and you calculate the area under the shear force diagram, so you multiply it by the height of the shear force diagram with the distance, you will get the bending moment value at that particular point. You can again confirm that using those numericals that we have done in the previous classes. Now we know that for the bending moment to be maximum, its differential should be with respect to x should be 0. So dm by dx should be equal to 0. But recently we have derived that dm by dx is equal to f. So what it tells us, that the shear force will be 0 at the point where the bending moment will be 0 at the point where shear force is 0. So because dm by dx is equal to 0 give us the maximum bending moment position, so as dm by dx is equal to f, so the bending moment will be maximum where the shear force is 0, and that is what we have observed in our all previous numericals. Now let's use this information that we have derived in order to solve some interesting numerical. So here we have a lintel which is made up of a concrete. So it has this typical shape. It is supported at point A and B. It is simply supported. Its length is 4 meter, and its height on one edge is 1 meter. On the other side it is 4 meter. So it is a kind of a trapezoidal shape lintel. We need to calculate the maximum bending moment for this lintel and sketch bending moment and shear force diagram. So from where the load is coming? The load is coming because of its own weight. So the concrete weight, or weight density rather I would say, is given as 23 kilonewton per meter cube. So this is the weight density of concrete. Now this lintel is having 15 centimeter thickness, which is also given to you. So this lintel is having a thickness of, let's say, 15 centimeter. So this is the shape of the lintel, and because of its own weight it is causing the loading, and we need to calculate the load because of this lintel weight first, and then find the reaction, and using those reaction we need to find the shear force and then the bending moment. So let's first calculate the load because of its own weight. So the intensity of load at point A will be equal to the height 1 meter on the left side multiplied by the width of this lintel at that edge point, that is 15 centimeter. So 15 by 100 is the value in meter, and that multiplied by the weight density 23 will give us the intensity of load because of the lintel self weight as 3.45 kilonewton per meter at point A. We can calculate the intensity of load at point B. So here the height is 4, width of the lintel is same 15 by 100, and multiplied by 23 will give us 13.8 kilonewton per meter as the intensity of load at point B. So you see it becomes a kind of a uniformly varying load, at one edge being 3.45 kilonewton and at another edge it is 13.8 kilonewton. So this is a kind of a uniformly varying load of magnitude 3.45 kilonewton to 13.8 kilonewton from edge A to edge B. Now this load can be divided into two parts. You can consider this load as a uniformly distributed load of 3.45 kilonewton. So if you consider it here, like this is given over here, you can see from this diagram, this is a uniformly distributed load of 3.45 kilonewton, and then there is a triangular load which is varying from 0 at one edge to 13.8 minus 3.45, that is 10.35 kilonewton at the other edge. So the total load, uniformly varying load, we have divided into two parts. One is the uniformly distributed load, another is the triangular load, which is 0 at one end to 10.35 kilonewton per meter at the other end. Now because of these loads, we need to find the reaction, because for the without reaction we can't calculate the shear force. So let's start finding the reaction. So first let's take the case of UDL. So because of the UDL, because load is continuously distributed and the beam is symmetrical, so the load will be 3.45, that is the uniformly distributed load, multiplied by the length of the beam, and as it will be equally shared by both the supports, so it's simply 3.45 into 4 divided by 2 will give you the value of reaction because of the uniformly distributed load at point A as 9 kilonewton, and it will be also equal to the reaction at point B, which will be also 6.9 kilonewton. So RA dash will be equal to RB dash. Now due to triangular load, the reactions will be calculated assuming that it is a triangle, so its center of gravity will be like at a distance of 1/3 from the edge X. So this will be the geometric center will be 1/3 into half the area of the triangle, that is half into the distance is 4 meter and the height is 10.35 meter of this triangle. So that is the amount of load that is acting, and multiplied by 1/3 will give you the 6.9 kilonewton value. Okay. Similarly, the reaction at point B will be 2/3 of the area of the triangle. So that is half into 4 into 10.35. That gives us the value as 13.8 kilonewton. Now we will sum these two reactions because of the uniformly distributed load and the triangular load. So the net reactions will be RA will be equal to RA dash plus RA double dash. So it gives us reaction at A as 13.8 kilonewton, reaction at B as 20.7 kilonewton. Next thing is to find the load equation. So load, how the load is varying, because using the load equation we can find the shear force value that we already know. So because we have already derived that dF by dx is equal to small w and F is equal to integration of w dot dx from 0 to x. So if we find the equation for the loading, we can find the value of shear force using that equation. So here you see that the loading at left edge is 3.45 because it is constantly 3.45 at the entire distance from left to right, A to B, and then because of the triangular loading which is going from 0 to 10.35 over the distance of 4, so the value at any point x will be, because of that, because it is uniformly changing from that point, so 10.35 the load divided by the distance 4 multiplied by the x, so that will give us the load at any edge and at any point from the x. So it is 3.45 plus 10.35 over the distance 4 multiplied by x will be the value of load because of that triangular load. Now once we have got this equation, we can use our derived equation that shear force is equal to integration of w dot dx from 0 to x. We substitute it over here and we integrate it, we will get the value as 3.45x plus 1.2398 and 2938 x square plus c1. c1 is the constant of integration here. To find the value of the constant of integration, we need to know the value of the shear force at the edges. We know that shear force at x equal to 0, that means at point A or point B will be equal to minus RA, right? So minus RA will be the exactly the value of shear force at particular point. So this will give us the C1 value as minus 13.8 kilonewton, and using this we can write our shear force equation as 3.45x plus 1.2938 x square minus 13.8. You must have remembered that the when we draw the shear force diagram, shear force exactly at the edge will be equal to the reaction. So that's why I have taken FA is equal to minus RA here. Okay, this minus sign is preceding because of the sign convention that we have used. Now we have also derived the equation that bending moment is equal to integration of shear force from 0 to x So let's make use of this equation, substitute this equation over here and do the integration. This will provide us the equation which we have shown here. Here the constant of integration is C2. This can be determined by using the boundary condition. We know that for a simply supported beam, at the edges or exactly at the support, the bending moment is 0. So at x equal to 0, the bending moment is 0. So this gives us the value of C2 as 0. So our final bending moment equation is obtained as shown here. Now for maximum bending moment, we have just shown that the bending moment will be maximum where the shear force is 0. So let's use this equation over here, the shear force equation that we have obtained, and equate it to 0. So this gives us 3.45x plus 1.293 at x square minus 13.8 equal to 0, which you can also express as shown here by dividing the whole equation by 1.2938. This is a quadratic equation in x, whose roots you can find using the equation x equal to minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. And the one valid root of this will be x equal to 2.19 meter. So at distance from A, the 2.19 meter, the bending moment will be maximum. So when you substitute 2.19 in this equation, you will get the value of bending moment as 1742 kilonewton meter. We can make a plot of this equation of the shear force and draw the bending moment diagram by substituting the different value of x from 0 to 4 meter. And you see because there is a quadratic relation between x and shear force, what you will get will be a parabolic shape. So this is the shear force diagram. You see from one side it is going 13.8 and the other edge it will go to 20.7, and at exactly 2.19 meter it will be going to be 0. So this is a kind of a parabolic shape that we will get. And the next is the bending moment. By this bending moment equation which we have obtained, the equation B, if we substitute the different value of x from 0 to 4 meter, you will get the bending moment, and it is a cubic parabola here. So there will be a kind of a cubic parabola with a maximum value of 1742 kilonewton meter achieved at x equal to 2.19 meter. So this is the kind of shape that we will get. So this is the shape of that. It is a cubic parabola which we obtained, and with a maximum value of 17.42 kilonewton meter at a distance of 2.19 meter from the edge A. Now let's do one more numerical. This time let's take the cantilever beam with a triangular loading. So the previous case was the case of a simply supported beam. In case of cantilever beam, the only thing is that we don't need to find the reactions here. So that's the advantage. Now let's find the loading equation. For that loading equation, we need to know that let's take a element at a distance x from the edge B. So this is at DE. So you get two similar triangle ABC and triangle DBE, and from the similar triangle properties we know that AC by DE will be equal to AB by DB. So the DE, which is the load at distance x, this is the load at distance x, so this is W at distance x, I would say, which is DE, is equal to AC multiplied by DB divided by AB. What is AC? AC is given as 5 kilonewton per meter. So this is going from 0 to 5 kilonewton per meter here, this value. So this is 5 here. DB is your distance x, and your AB is the distance of the length of the beam. So this is 5 into x by 3. So this is the load equation that we have. So W is varying in this fashion. Now for shear force to be calculated at section DE, you need to calculate the area of this triangle DBE. So triangle area will be half into DE into BD. So DE is, as we have already got, as 5x by 3 and multiplied by x, that gives you 5x square by 6. So you see we have got this using the definition that I gave you there, that the area of the loading curve, loading diagram, gives you the value of shear force. But you can also obtain it by using our equation 3 that we have derived, that shear force is equal to integration of 0 to x of w dx. So if you integrate this 5x by 3, it is going to give you the same value 5x square by 6 plus some constant of integration which will be 0 in this case at edge x equal to 0. So that's why you will get shear force is equal to 5x square by 6. So this is your, you see, this is your equation of loading, and if you integrate it you will get the shear force also. So you can understand it in that sense also. So if you substitute different value of x, so at x equal to 0, shear force at point B will be 0, and at x equal to 3 meter, which is shear force at A, that will be 7.5 kilonewton. So it will be varying from 0 to 7.5 kilonewton, and in between it will be given by a parabolic curve because of this quadratic relationship we have with the x. Now for the bending moment, we have already obtained this equation of shear force. So let's make use of this equation, that bending moment is equal to integration of f dx from 0 to x. So if we substitute over here, you will get the constant of integration c1 here with along with 5x cube by 18. At x equal to 0, we know that the bending moment is 0. So at the free edge in the cantilever beam, the bending moment is 0. So that gives us c1 equal to 0. So our final bending moment equation will be 5x cube by 18. At x equal to 0, the bending moment will be 0, and at x equal to 3, the value will be 7.5 kilonewton meter. So it is going from 0 to 7.5 kilonewton meter, and in between it is having a cubic relationship because there is a 5x cube here. So this is the cubic parabola that you will obtain. So this brings us to the end of our chapter on bending moment and shear force diagram. Please do some numericals which are available in your books, solved and unsolved both. Soon we are going to have our unit test, second unit test based on this bending moment shear force diagram portion.